there's so much in this project that we've worked on, and for us to share it with you in the next couple of minutes there's not enough time. So if you have questions, we'd love to answer your questions at the end. But I would like to start off. You've heard a lot of kind of reports of different students and what their experience with sustainability has been in the course. And I'm going to start off, and I'm going to be really honest with you that I walked into class the first day, and I remember sitting down. It was one of my prerequisites. This is my last year in my degree for communications. I remember sitting down in that class and kind of looking around the room. It's in a trailer. It's on a Wednesday, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I'm sitting down and I'm looking around at the students around me, and I'm thinking that they look a little strange compared to most of the students in other classes I've been in. And the room was hot, it was stifling. And we get through the first class, and I remember calling one of my friends and saying, if this course was not a prerequisite, I would drop it. I would not be doing this. It was just such a big topic. We've talked about sustainability. It's a slippery topic. It's hard to get your head around. And then also learning that the service model, we really had to invest ourselves a lot in the project. That was a little daunting initially. So coming into that first class, I was not feeling good about this class at all, the Comms 451 rather. And getting into the next class, we had Joe from the Office of Sustainability come and talk with us and let us know a little bit about what that project was going to look like and what the Office of Sustainability does on the campus. And it was something that Joe said that just it hooked me. I was like a fish. I was ready. I was gone. And Joe talked about looking at the 3 spheres of sustainability, economic, environmental, and social, and saying that, she didn't come at it as being a tree hugger, but more of a people hugger. And that when you can change people's environments and you can change how they live their lives, that you can really change the way they can look at things and how you can really impact their lives. And right there, it just kind of caught me, and I knew that it was something that I really resonated within me as a human being. So now looking and fast forwarding, coming to a situation where Jane and I are going to a conference. We've spent the last term working on a research project, reviewing our results from the Comms 451 class, and then moving forward with that and collecting new, fresh data that kind of was more streamlined. Has been a really exciting process, and it's something that has completely changed my life. So talking about service learning, things like that, there's a couple of things that I want to pick out, and that was talking about sustainability and really specifically social sustainability, and then also talking about service learning. So in terms of social sustainability, when we started reviewing our research, we found that a lot of the students had encountered sustainability in a certain way. We've already heard comments of how everybody kind of comes to sustainability as being their own journey, their own definition of what that word is, and it's confusing, it's big, and it's hard to grapple with. And most of the students, when we reviewed their results, really looked at it, and they had heard of environmental sustainability. That was kind of their first point of contact with it. And they were like, oh, we're going to change light bulbs. We're going to go and set up a trash receptacle somewhere, or recycling, whatever it is. So it was very action orientated. And then realizing that, well, there's more to it than that. And then most of them had some understanding of what social was. Maybe it was, they'd come to it from a social justice perspective, whatever that looked like. But they never really had it framed in something as being sustainable. So they were already sort of practicing it, going along with it. So there was 2 areas that they were feeling pretty confident about. And then economic, both in the initial results from our Comms 451 class, and then in the results from our interviews afterwards, there was kind of a general economic, what is that? What does that look like? I know it's kind of important somewhere out there, but it doesn't really affect me. I don't feel. So it was kind of an interesting breakdown of how things worked. So it really gave us this broad sense that sustainability is this. If you think of it as being like part of a meal, it's the nutrients in the meal. It's really hard. There's lots of nutrients in it. There's lots of value in it. And then finding that value, and how do you explain that to students, and what parts of that do you explain? It was really interesting too from our course that all of the 3 people who were influencing the educating of it, they came at sustainability really from a social aspect. You already heard Tanya say that it was the one that she felt was kind of at the bottom of the list, and it was very important for the liberal arts. Joe mentioned too, coming at it from that kind of slant and chasing as well. So knowing that as educators, when you're passionate about something, that it really resonates with your students. Every student that we interviewed since has said that social sustainability was the part that they picked out the most. And then further than that, there were students that were really moved by the whole aspect of social sustainability. One of the girls that I had an opportunity to interview was talking about how this has affected her career decisions for the future. She's just graduated in December, and saying that, she's been very selective in some jobs that she's considered because she wants to make sure that that's a component of it. So very interesting, and then just working that passion within yourself, and if that is for environmental or if that is for economic sustainability, using that to your advantage because your students will notice. It was never set out from the beginning of the course that it was going to be about social sustainability, but it was definitely an underlying theme. So if you look at that as being the nutrients, it was hearty, it was packed full of them. And then service learning or collaborative education, I think the best way to start off is asking you a question. It's been Easter this past weekend. How many of you would like to go home and someone's created this great meal for you, and it's home cooked? They went to the market and got all these fresh vegetables and maybe a nice ham. How many would prefer that to something like a Swanson's frozen dinner that got heated up? Yeah. It's pretty easy, and I think that you've heard it already from a lot of our team, that is what service learning is like. It's like someone's taken the time to make this home-cooked meal for you. They've invested, and then also you have to invest. Maybe you were part of the process of growing that or making it part of something, but it's a lot harder. Sometimes it's a lot harder to chew. It's a lot harder for you to digest because there's so much more to it. And that was one of the big things with collaborative education that I think a lot of the students really found as a sticking point. It was harder. It wasn't a formula where you go in and I can read this and I can do this and show up to this many classes and I'm going to get an A or I'm going to get a B. It was something you had to be invested in. It became part of your conversations outside of the course. It became part of your lifestyle for it really to resonate with you. So just picking those things out, there's tons that we could say from our research, but those were two of the really main pointers that I think we could take away, and that we will be taking away with us when we go to the conference. And I'll pass it on to Jane.